You don't have to create a marker track in order to use markers, but it's much easier to see them. Right-click and add a marker track. To put markers into your project, you can use the Draw tool to draw them in. A good tip here is to make sure Snap is on and set to bar. You can also press the Insert button on your computer keyboard if you're on Windows. Or you can press the Insert Marker button here to place a marker wherever the cursor is. This method is great when the project is playing. Once you have a few markers, you'll probably want to change their names. Click on one and change its name in the info line. Beside the marker name is the ID number. These are for key commands. You can have the first marker become the third one by changing its ID number. Notice that the first and third markers swap numbers. One good use for this is when you have a whole bunch of markers numbering more than 9. Markers have default key commands of 3 to 9 on the numeric keypad. 1 and 2 are used for the left and right locator. If you want to use these default key commands, then you won't be able to access anything past 9. By changing IDs, you can access any of them at any time. Since this is true, I'm going to change all of my markers above the numbers 1 and 2 by double-clicking on the ID number in the inspector and changing them around. The inspector lets us jump between the markers by just clicking to the left of them. The transport bar gives us 15 markers to click on. You can even show a separate marker window, making organizing them easier. You can insert and remove markers here under the Functions menu. When you insert markers, you can enter in a description. This is the same name on the project page. Regular markers don't have a length, but cycle markers do. We'll talk about these in a second. This applies for the end as well. The Move Markers to Cursor function allows you to reposition a marker wherever the project cursor is. There is another type of marker called the cycle marker. You can create markers that remember where your cycle areas or loops are. Create a cycle area with the left and right locators, and then press the Add Cycle Marker button. You can add as many as you like. You can use this for different areas of your music to quickly jump, play, and loop sections. When in the marker window, you can filter out what you wish to see using the Show drop-down menu. You can choose to view all of the markers, only the normal markers, or only the cycle markers. There may be times when you want to leave the marker window up and continue to jump to a certain marker. However, the marker window may auto-scroll to a different view, thereby causing your marker to be out of view. You can turn off Marker Auto Scroll so that your marker list remains still. We can locate regular markers by clicking here and selecting the marker from the drop-down menu. You can locate cycle markers here. Select one of the cycle markers we just created to bring the left and right locators to it. Now select the marker underneath the Zoom drop-down to zoom the project page to that area. Now that's a lot of marker power.